If you're waiting to feel ready, unfortunately, chances are you'll probably be waiting your whole life. We kind of have this idea that there'll be a perfect moment, that things will be so obvious that now is the time to progress in your life towards whatever it is that you're searching for. And I wanted to kind of just slap that idea away, because unfortunately it's paralyzing so much potential and it's paralyzing so much progress, and not just in your life, in everyone's lives. I don't know why there is this kind of idea, this narrative out there that there will be a moment where it will be obvious to seize, and it's not. Like if you research the very successful types in the world, they create their own moments, and oftentimes they get an impulse and they go for it. No perfect moment. They create it. They make it up as they go along. They start a momentum and things get behind them. So there's a myth of readiness that I want to tackle in this video, because unfortunately so many of us are holding ourselves back from realizing our potential and enjoying the lives that we want for ourselves, essentially waiting for the perfect moment, for the seas to part. And that doesn't happen that often. I would say it really seldom happens. It's quite an interesting exercise I did. I researched entrepreneurs for years, interviewed 100 plus of them, and found an interesting trend that the majority of them created their own opportunities. They created their own moments. They got an idea and they just went with it. Oftentimes, actually, the environment was completely contradictory. Is that right? The environment wasn't complementary, let's say it that way. And regardless, they went on. One of the funny things about recessions, a lot of times people think, oh, well, a recession is a time that you should be conservative. No, actually. A recession is a time when the highest transfers of wealth take place. Why? Because markets contract and people open themselves up to new ideas. They trial different things, and so they create opportunities for movers and shakers, which is kind of counterintuitive, because if you were looking for this moment of readiness, you would be thinking, oh, well, I'll move forward when the market's right. And actually, recessions plant all the seeds for opportunity and for new ideas and for progress. Generally speaking, when we move out of a recession and into a more kind of progressive boom-like time, well, actually the market's established. The time that we would instinctively think is a good time for business is actually a bad time. So I'm sharing this, and perhaps there's a little bit of waffle there, but to bring you back to the point, if you've got an idea, if you've got a want, if you've got a desire inside of you right now, this is a video to just encourage you and push you forward and into motion. One of the most interesting things a lot of the time is that we think like, well, we can't move forward until we can clearly see what the plan of action is. And what we don't appreciate and what we experience every day is that with every step we take, we see further beyond the horizon. And that analogy is completely true with regards to life goals, our business goals, or whatever it is that you might be progressing towards. That unfortunately, we don't see the full picture all at once, all up front. But it's only as we progress and move forward that we see that little bit further beyond. And we build our confidence along the way too. A lot of times people think that like, I don't have the confidence to do what it is that I want to do. Confidence isn't something that people just have naturally and not. It's something that you build, and you build through troubleshooting in the moment. So let's get into this idea of this myth of readiness. You create your moment. You move forward. As you do, the simple act of progressing actually builds a level of confidence inside of you. You'll step up taller. Perhaps a smile will come across your face. You will feel better. And you step forward again, and you see that bit further on. And you instinctively start to see how you might do things. And as you step forward, confidence builds, you see further, plans emerge, and little by little, whatever it is that you're working towards becomes easier and easier to realize. The hardest point of success is actually the very starting point. And so if you can get over that bump and actually just jump into it, you've gotten over the hardest part first. A practical example that comes up for me is I'm a sea swimmer. I love sea swimming, especially in Ireland. Ireland, the sea is freezing. Ireland is just freezing all the time. But anyway, going for a swim there is hilarious. The more you think about going for a swim, the harder it is to jump into the water. So what I try to do is I distract myself. Like as I'm driving there, I'm listening to music. As I'm walking down, perhaps I'm checking with a friend, because the last thing I want to do, even though I love sea swimming, is think about how cold it's going to be. And I quickly throw my towel off and jump into the water as quick as I can. not thinking about it. If I get lost in thought, and this has unfortunately happened, I've sat on the side for about 30 minutes looking at the water being like, oh, will I, won't I? Which is ridiculous considering it takes me about an hour to drive to the sea where I live. And that analogy is so absolutely true with regards to every other aspect of life that we might be working towards a goal. Think about it. When it came to dating, if you were looking at somebody that you wanted to date, the more you thought about it, the harder it was to approach them and the more nervous you got. Whereas actually, if you just walked straight up and said hi, things unfold from there. Or when it comes to work and plans and ambitions, the more you think about it, and you might be thinking, oh, it's great to be thinking about it. The fact of the matter is generally speaking, the more thought we put into it, the more we see all the areas where we might fail, and it becomes all the harder to step forward into it. Odd practical examples, but I hope they're all now starting to hammer in the point that you're never actually ready. And the best time to progress and move forward was probably a few minutes ago. But ideally speaking, now, don't hold yourself back. Have faith that if you take one step forward from here, it's actually going to feel pretty good. And it's going to feel a little bit easier to take the next step. And as you do, you're going to see that little bit further on beyond the horizon. And for whatever it is that you're trying to do, it's going to be that little bit easier to see how you might go about doing it. And little by little, as you keep stepping forward from there, your confidence will build, your clarity will build. And that sense of fulfillment, that sense of excitement for life will start to thrive, because there is nothing more depressing than sitting in indecision and stillness. And there is nothing more exciting than truly living and pushing yourself into the field. That point I talk about in other videos, that point outside of your comfort zone, what we call the zone of proximal development, where your learning is thriving. You're challenging yourself, you're growing, you're expanding. Yes, you might make some mistakes at certain points, but every single one of those mistakes is a clue to how you might do things differently and better for yourself, ultimately going forward from here. So please take this video as a push, an encouragement to move forward with whatever it is that you are desiring for yourself. You owe it to yourself, and your life will be all the more fun going for it rather than sitting on the sidelines. Please don't sit on the sidelines. Let me know how this feels for you. Let me know what came up for you, or perhaps what this triggered. Any comments, anything you want to share, please share them in the points below. And if this video isn't enough, if you're like, oh, okay, but I still need a little bit of help, go to my website. If you want to inquire, if you want to have a chat, I am so happy to support you, because being completely transparent, nothing brings me more joy than seeing people fulfill their dreams, fulfill their ambitions, and move forward in life and away from being stuck.